When they ata?
Tende nesa.
We're
doing very well. Oh yeah, I think we can conduct the rest tende nesa muno.
Okay, fine. And just for the sake of our viewers across borders, just a greeting there to the governor. Of course, Mwala constituency is in Machakos County, and that is my constituency. And therefore, I'm very excited to have you in studio tonight. Hoping, of course, that I'll be able to go and tell my Soso some of the things that you've articulated here and just break them down for her, because she speaks only Kikamba. Okay, let's get right to it. Your transition.
And I'm also from Mwala, so...
Yeah, you're also from Mwala. Okay, your transition from government spokesman, of course, at that time you came under heavy criticism from certain quarters, but then of course you had your fair share of supporters. Your transition now to governance, just maybe let's go back to your former job and just sum up your performance as government spokesman.
Well, it's never easy being a government spokesperson, because governments are complicated, and in a government there is what people need to know and there's what people should know. They're two different things, and so it's complicated. You see how things were during the terrible Westgate scandal, the whole fiasco in terms of communication and a few hiccups here and there. So it's very difficult when you're in government. But also when you're in government, I was involved a lot in policy decisions and trying to think and suggest ideas. But now as a governor, I'm in the seat where now I can implement all the ideas that I wanted.
Right.
All the ideas that I think are going to be helpful to the people. Now I can listen to ideas and good ideas and be able to implement them for the sake of the people.
Right, so now to governance.
Yes.
And let's begin with your budget, 8.1 billion, and you split this into 50-50.
Yes.
Just highlight key pillars of your governance so far and the things that you've been concentrating on, your priorities.
The biggest thing that Kambas need, whether they're in Makueni, Machakos or Kitui, and it's in Machakos, is water. So I've put 1 billion shillings for water. And what we want to do is to do water harvesting. We're buying rigs so that we can dig our own boreholes, we can dig our own ponds, and we can actually get our own dams going. It's very expensive to do these things. My formula is to concentrate on harvesting water closer to the neighborhoods. Every village you go to, they tell you, once it rains, it floods. After the rains, there's no water. So what we want to do, we want to make sure that all this water that comes is retained in water ponds and in dams. And then we dig boreholes. So we're going to dig a lot of boreholes and harvest the water this first year. And then this other years, we start now doing the distribution, because you cannot distribute what you don't have. The other highlights are in terms of security. We've already procured 140 police vehicles, so that we can enhance policing in Machakos County. We're going to have 2 police vehicles for every location. That is my plan. And we're going to fuel them and take care of them to support the police in a form of community policing. We're also installing about 500 CCTVs across the county and asking businesses to do the same. In terms of healthcare, we've put in 400 million shillings to upgrade dispensaries and health centers, so that every location has a community hospital, so that our mothers don't have to go very far. And those who are giving birth also, we have procured 70 ambulances that are coming in just around Christmas, so that every location has an ambulance for emergency rescue service. So those are just some of the highlights.
And you touched on water, Governor Mutua, and the bulk of our questions and comments are coming in, are touching on water and food security. And traditionally, of course, Ukambani, and not just Machakos County, but the entire Ukambani has been perceived as a dry area. There is, you know, it has been mentioned before that there's the Athi River there, second largest river in Kenya, but there's never really been harnessing of waters from that river.
The biggest problem is that we have traditionally undertaken very huge projects that cost billions of shillings. If I was to do an irrigation scheme to provide water using the river, it would come to over 5 billion shillings, or 7 billion shillings actually, when you are providing drinking water and irrigation. It becomes very expensive. We have to learn to live within our means as we raise our funding to do the big things. So we want to collect our water to give to our people. When it comes to food security, we know at times because of shortage of rains, we don't get as many. So somebody has 1 acre, they cultivate, instead of 10 bags, they get 4 bags because the rains failed. So what about if we increase the turnover? So we have purchased 40 tractors this financial year that are going to go around the wards helping farmers to expand the amount of land that they're cultivating, so that you cultivate 2 acres instead of 1 acre, because there's a lot of barren land. Out of the, there's a lot of land that should be cultivated. Out of the land that should be cultivated in Machakos, only 25% is under cultivation.
And
if we increase that to 50%, you know what that means? That even if the rains fail, you harvest 20 bags instead of the traditional 3.
And just to touch briefly on that, I know traditionally a lot of the Kamba people have grown maize and beans.
Yes.
So moving away from that and perhaps
we're looking at other foods, but also in terms of food security, we're also looking at livestock and mostly poultry, chicken. What my government is doing is that we're introducing a program starting next month to give free chicks to sui, in Kamba we call them to sui, to angoko, free chicks to these young people who are unemployed and who are mothers in the villages. And when they grow, we buy them back. I'll be going to India next month to look for market. You look at China, for example. China consumes 15 billion eggs in a year. They're looking for eggs. We want to be able to export eggs to China. We want to be able to export eggs and chicken to India, which are the biggest consumers in the world, and that's what we're getting to do. So we start a subsidy program, provide the chicks to farmers. They cost only 10 to 15 shillings one. You provide them, you teach them. We've got extension farmers. We buy them back, they bring some income, we sell it as a county, we bring the money back to the farmers.
Right, and let's move to Konza City. Confusion over this landmark and whether it lies in Makueni County or Machakos County. Has this issue been resolved?
What is happening is that traditionally we've always believed that Machakos and Makueni, where right at the border, is where Konza lies. Maps came out saying part of it is lying in Machakos, part of it is lying in Konza. When I look at that debate, for me it's neither here nor there. Because what is important is not where something lies, it is what is being done about it. We started talking about Konza 6 to 7 years ago when I was still government spokesperson. I remember sitting down with Mr. Stanley Murage, Ambassador Francis Mudaura, Hislop Ipo at State House, talking about Vision 2030 and Konza as one of the projects. That was 6 to 7 years ago. If we go there today and we try to show me where President Mwai Kibaki, before he left government, broke ground, it may be difficult to see. What we want is a city to come up. Where it lies, it's in Ukambani. It's right at the border, and some parts of it are in Machakos, others in Makueni. We are haggling over a piece of land that has grass.
Although
we want it developed.
And we know
it should have been developed 6, 7 years ago.
And we know Makueni has claimed ownership, has said that Konza lies within Makueni. So let's move on from there.
Actually, what we're doing in Machakos, we're building a new city.
You're building
a new city,
right? Which
is a new city in Machakos, which we hope will spur the growth of Konza. And we hope ours, not hoping, but ours will start very well. And I'm very, very happy that President Uhuru Kenyatta has agreed to come and launch the new city and our investors program on November the 6th. Right. But when he comes, he's not going to be he's not going to be breaking ground. He's going to be laying foundation stones on buildings that are already up to the 3rd, stone, or that have already risen. We don't want to talk about what will be done. He's coming to engage in something that is already ongoing, right? Because that is what people need.
Okay, and looking at the positioning of Machakos County, its proximity to Nairobi County, and of course looking at the Nairobi-Mombasa highway, one would imagine that Machakos County is advantaged because of this proximity.
Yes.
How is it benefiting? How is the county benefiting from its proximity?
It is because one of the major problems of Nairobi is housing, and we want to transform Machakos to be the bedroom of Nairobi. And so we're encouraging a lot of real estate for people to come. But because it's also near Nairobi, manufacturing plants are looking for places where they can actually set up. That's why we are providing free land to industrialists. They come, they set up a factory for assembling BMWs, Volkswagens, or for fruit companies for processing fruits, so that our young people in Machakos can get employment. So because that proximity also to the Jomo Kenyatta Airport, it helps.
Right, and you talked about housing. The challenge, however, remains, when you look at areas like Mavoko, where Mlolongo is, the challenge remains that you find a lot of people still commuting to Nairobi, and therefore, what plans do you have to retain people within the county to live and work there as well?
That is why we are trying to put together a new city. You know, every good things come from a city and development, but we're not just building the city itself, because when the city is growing, Machakos has stunted for many years. It used to be the capital of this country. We want to give it a new revival, bring in investors so that people do not have to leave Machakos County to look for jobs in Nairobi or elsewhere, so they can work at home. They travel short distances. I hosted General Kianga for lunch in my office, and we discussed. He's the chairperson of Kenya Railways, looking at a railway link between Machakos and Konza and Machakos and Nairobi. And I can assure you it's something that we are moving with, so that you can get our own railway link cutting across. I mean, in Europe they put railway lines, new railway lines in the 40s and 50s. We still have only one railway line, you know, coming from, you know, some things need to change.
Right, and you have stood out as one of the action-oriented, actually you've stood out as the top, you know, action-oriented governor currently, but your critics, and you've got a couple of them really, argue that you are more style than substance, that you have good PR machinery. Your reaction to this?
I think it's always good for people to criticize. It's always good to hear opinions. I cannot be right all the time. People make mistakes, and I welcome people to give me ideas. If I'm doing anything wrong, let me know. When it comes to talk versus substance, I think I would welcome the people to come to Machakos and see for themselves the changes that are ongoing in Machakos, the roads that we're building, the things that the boreholes that we are digging, the clearing that we are doing, the kind of things that are spanning in Machakos.
Of course, one of the ones that has been trending is Machawood.
Yes.
You also plan to host Sekafa. Ambitious projects, really.
Not really, because you look at California, for example, in the United States. California was built out of entertainment. It is one of the richest states in the United States. Actually, the budget of California is bigger than the budget of the entire country of Kenya, because of Hollywood and entertainment. So we set up Machawood because we believe that Machakos is the right place for music. Actually, Machawood itself is just an abbreviation. The actual term, the actual sentence is Machakos Entertainment Center for film, media, art, and what else? I'm forgetting. But basically, it's all about entertainment. We want to have musicians come in. We want to have, when the big artists from all over the world or from our country come in, studios for young people to record music, filmmakers, they want to have a base, because when you're making a big movie, you don't just to come and hug around. You want to come to a center that has cameras, has studios, has fixers. So that's what we want to set up in Machakos, so that we can make money for our young people.
And we are
jobs.
Pressed for time, Governor Mutua. A strong critic of your leadership style is Senator Johnston Muthama.
Yes.
And he has come out strongly as saying, and let me just quote something here that he said, he's publicly criticized you and accused you of being extravagant and not following due process in the management of county affairs. And some of the issues that he highlighted was taking members of the county assembly to Mombasa for induction in what he termed as misuse of money. He also took issue with the trip by Machakos county representatives to South Africa. He said the trip by over 30 representatives was a waste of county resources. And then the purchase of Subaru Outbacks that you acquired for your county executives. He questioned whether due process was followed. What is the nature of your relationship with your senator now?
Let me just touch on some of those allegations, then I can explain about my relationship with Honorable Muthama. First of all, talking about bonding session that I held with the county assembly. Machakos today has the best relationship between the governor and the members of the county assembly, because I understand that you cannot just work with people who you don't feel each other. And so we went, even before the whole setup of governments, we sat down, we looked at the agenda, where is Machakos, and we're united in one force, also together with the members of parliament. So that so-called waste of money is what is enabling us to actually move forward as a team between elected members in Machakos. The second thing is about talking about the purchase of vehicles. I don't know what is extravagant if I decided to buy second-hand vehicles instead of brand new vehicles. They were second-hand. All the ministers and even myself, we're not using brand new vehicles. Kenyans don't have money to support government officials driving luxurious brand new cars. We are a poor economy. I would rather, if you have 10 million, I would rather buy 3 or 4 Outbacks and save the money out of using 6 million and be left with 4 million to buy 2 ambulances to take my pregnant mothers to hospital. That's what I would draw. So if I'm doing anything wrong by saving public money, by not buying big vehicles, driving in luxurious cars, then guilty as charged. But I stand by saying that it is time we had prudent use of government finances. You don't get into government offices so that you can make yourself rich or so that you can make yourself be bigger than anybody else. We are all servants. Myself and Mudhama, I don't have a problem with him at all. He's a good gentleman. He's worked hard. He's a senator. He campaigned against me during the election. He supported my opponent. But I won. He won his seat. And I say that being governor is not about Alfred Mutua. I'm there to serve the people of Machakos. It is not about me. It should not be about any leader. If you're a leader and all you're thinking about is yourself or others, then you're in trouble. That's why I said, Honorable Mudhama, come, let us hold hands and serve our people. Right. It is about that child sleeping hungry. It is about that young man eating miraa, worried because they have the future looks bleak. Right. It is about those people that give me sleepless nights, not about what other people are talking about.
We really have run out of time. As we wind up,
yes,
what are the people of Machakos County expecting to see 5 years from now? Paint a picture for us, just very briefly, because my director really is on my case. Right.
Machakos will be the place to be, not just in Kenya, but in Africa.
Right. Machakos will be the place to be, not just in Kenya, but in Africa. Thank you very much, Nimobea.
Thank you very much, Nimobea.
Thank you.
Asante
We've been talking to Machakos County Governor Dr. Alfred Mutua. Of course, he's touched on a lot of what he's doing in his county currently. So really looking forward to big things in Machakos County. This is Citizen Weekend. Don't go away. We'll be right back.